Dave Cleveland. I was an engineman, third class, on board the USS Norris. All of our liberty was either in the Philippines or in Japan. Subic Bay was very interesting, very primitive, very unhealthy. So you just had to be careful where you ate, where you drank, and everything. But still was a place that I read a lot about in history and geography, but until you're there, you don't experience it. In Hong Kong, or in Japan, Yokosuka is a huge repair facility. And so we spent a lot of time, we walked around. I got my one original work coat. I had a whole bunch of patches, which a lot of sailors do when they get them, to help describe who they are, what they do. And so we would go over and we'd get a lot of that stuff sewn on over there, and check out a lot of the stores. You know, yeah, we spent time in bars, but I don't think too excessive. And so the liberty was good. And the guys that were working on our ship when we were there, because we were having new barrels put on our mounts, those guys were really neat. First time I seen a guy split a rock with his hand, I said, "Oh, it can be done." He said, "Oh, you would be," he says, "you're pretty good size. You'd be good for judo." I said, "Yeah, okay." But so, you know, and that it relieves the tension, and you blow off some steam, and then you're back to work again. So, and we when we were there, the first time we were there was for Thanksgiving. Second time we were there was for Christmas. So, and then back to the line. That's how we ended up making 2 tours of Vietnam. We left in late December for Japan to get work done on the ship, and then we came back after the first of the year. So that's 2 tours. You got kind of a yeah sort of thing. But we had more action the last 3 or 4 months that we were there, running up and down the coast and plane guarding with a Kitty Hawk. Aircraft carriers can move right along. I mean, we do 33 knots, but if the seas are heavy, it's hard to do. But when the Kitty Hawk would go to flight quarters, she'd just run off and leave us. So we just maintain the 4 ships and whatever other ships we're operating with her, just maintain a distance so that we can make sure that she's covered. But we got a call to go up and support a 10-man recon patrol that had happened to bump into a VC battalion. And so by the time we got up there and got coordinates for them and started firing in, that's the closest I think we were to the DMZ. I don't think we ever crossed it. I don't know for sure, but I don't remember reading it in any of the information we got. But we scanned that. I had a coffee cup for a long time, said Tonkin Golf Yacht Club, and so we were up and down that Gulf in the Sea of Japan a lot. We run a lot. Our captain liked to steam, and he wasn't liking to sit still very long, so he was looking wherever they needed help. Just call us, we'll go. And so that was interesting. We were what they call the SOPA ship. Let me see if I can remember. Senior officer present afloat, SOPA, and we come in and relieve the ship, and we were there I think 2 weeks. That's an interesting story. We're doing, basically we're getting liberty, and we're doing work on the ship, but we're getting regular liberty for a couple of weeks, and that's kind of settling everybody back down, making them feel more like there's other people on the planet. And so we had the captain's gig. The senior officer in Hong Kong was in charge of making sure that we had transportation for everybody. And so we had what they call a captain's gig. It was a pretty rough 30-footer, but it run pretty good up until the night we had to go pick up the captain near the end of our being there. There was 3 of us on board, the mate, the coxswain, and myself, and it hadn't been really taken care of really well. And so the lighting on the instrument panel didn't work, so we had flashlights to make sure everything was going. And we were about halfway between the ship and where we had to go into Hong Kong to pick him up, and engine started slowing down. And I'm going, what's going on? So, oh, we got no oil pressure. So we had and after investigating it, we had a broken cooler line, and so all the return oil was going into the bilges, and it basically quit. So we're floating, and the last thing I remember, or the one thing I remember, is that they told us the way Hong Kong Harbor is set, that there's a pretty good current that goes through there, and that current will draw you back out into the main ocean. And I'm thinking, oh great, well, nobody knows we're here, you know. So, but we had lights, so we were flashing lights. Finally, a Hong Kong taxi come by, and thankfully he hauled us back to the ship. And the rest of the story is the senior officer wanted me to pull the engine down and see what it was like, and I said, it's a 238 GM diesel. I can tell you, it is destroyed. Well, I need you to pull the head off so we can look. All I had to do was pull off the inspection covers, and all the sleeves were split. But I pulled the head off. I said, it's going to take 3 of us, because I says, the 3 of us will be able to pick it up and set it off, but that's as far as it's going. Long story short, yeah, when we pulled back into Subic Bay the next time, it was sitting on the pier, probably ready for disposal. But that was the most entertaining time. I said, yeah, I like boating, but I don't like being out here like this.